Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I am Ramzi Al-Ahmadi, and today I will continue the Capstone 1 seminar series where I will talk about project management. And believe me, project management is a key point for your success in completing Capstone Project 1 and leading to the success of completing Capstone Project 2 for in next semester. To kick off, let's first define what do we mean by project management. So let's take the first word, project. So a project is a series of tasks that are undertaken to achieve a unique goal. So the key word is to achieve a unique goal. So that is how project is different from other work. What about management? What do we mean by management? So the management is the process of dealing with resources. You have specific resources, whether that is money, that is people, that is equipment and tools. So, so the skill here is how to manage these resources in efficient and successful manner. So let's go to the second question. Have you ever participated or even managed a project? I am sure that at some point of your life you have been participated in a project and you didn't know that that task was a project. Let's take examples. If you ever purchased a new phone or a new computer, believe me, that is a project because it's a unique experience. Each time or each point of your time when you buy a new device or a new equipment, then there are different alternatives in the market. Based on that, you plan what do you need. You list the things that you need in your in that device. So you have to plan, and you have a specific budget, and you have a deadline. You want to purchase, for example, during these days, during the COVID-19 situation, we know that a lot of families they have purchased new devices. So they were asking and planning to for the purchase. They identified the budget for that, and they had a deadline. They had to purchase the laptop or the computer desktop by the start of the school. Let's take another example. I'm sure that you have participated in creating and planning an event or a wedding event or a travel. So it's the same story. You have some tasks, you have specific budget, and you have timing. And we'll have some examples and we'll make the process clear along the line. So what are the important things when you manage a project? There is what's called the triple constraints. We have time, we have cost, we have scope. Think about the scope as a performance in the project. So the time, all of us know what's the time. We have the cost, that is the budget, and we have the scope as a performance. So where is the success in this idea? Okay, everyone, if you give anybody time and cost and you give him a target, most likely at some point he will achieve it. But the key point or the key skill here is the trade-off between the three constraints. So if I give you unlimited time, I'm sure that you will finish the project. But this is not the idea. The idea is to complete the project within a specific time. The same thing applies for the cost. If I give you unlimited budget, I give you 1 million to purchase a laptop. I made the task very easy for you, but this is not the case in project management. It's not the case in the project. Usually, you have limited resources, you have limited time, and you are asked to achieve a specific you have to achieve a specific scope, or you get into a specific scope through the completion of the tasks. So the skill here is the trade-off between time and scope and cost to achieve an acceptable scope. Hopefully that's clear. Let's move on. So then what makes a good project manager. So if we have 10 project manager, how can we say this guy is the best? This take us back to this slide. So if someone can achieve the unique outcome with the identified budget and costs and within the timeline, then that's a good project manager. So we say that manager have used the resources very in an efficient and effective manner. Let's move on. So what are the phases of project management? According to the Project Management Institute, there are 5 project management phases. The first one is the conception and initiation. The second phase is the definition and planning. And the third phase is the launch and execution. The fourth phase is performance and control. And the final phase is the project close. Today, I will make sure that you understand the first 2, and we'll talk a little bit about the second 2 and the close and the project close and the handout. This will not talk about today because this is will be part of your report, because when we talk about the closeout, this is where we talk about finishing all the tasks and making the reports. And you handle the project to the client. Here you are handling your project, your capstone project, to the committee and your advisor. And part of the closeout, because we're not going to talk about later, I just want to give you an idea. So part of the closeout that you write down recommendations. So the person who comes next and take that project can start from your recommendations. So in the conception initiation, we'll talk about a very important item, which is a project charter. And in the definition and planning, we'll talk about the work breakdown schedule, or in some other sources, it's called work breakdown structure. And we'll talk about the Gantt chart. And the launch execution, it's the deployment of the plan. And then we'll talk about the performance control, and they come hand to hand with so the third phase and the fourth phase, they go hand by hand. And we see that we see why is that. So first, let's start with the initiation and conception, and we talk about the project charter. What is a project charter? Please think about the project charter as a contract. It is about 10 pages document. It's more than a contract, because when you think about contract, it's usually the final contract, the final version, it's 1 page, but the project charter is bigger than a contract. What do we include in the project charter? We make sure that the purpose is identified. So why we are doing that project, why we are making that project. Then we have to list the objectives, what to be accomplished by the end of the project, what are the outcomes. The one is the overview. Who is going to make that project, and who is the beneficiary of the project. Then you talk about the schedule. Here you don't give detailed schedule, you just give milestones. What are the dates for each phase in the project until the final date. So you make sure you list the milestone dates, the start and the end of the main phases or the main tasks, and the deadline and the finish time of the project. You list here the resources. What are the budget that's needed? What are the contractual items that you need to achieve? And what are the monitoring and control methods? How the project is going to be controlled? And you talk about the personnel. Who is the project manager? Who is the sponsor? Who is the approver? Because every time you finish a task or you finish a phase, someone has to approve it. So this must be part of the project charter. This is to avoid any conflicts, because you as a project manager, you need to know who's gonna approve your work, to avoid any conflict that somebody else comes into the picture next time and say, why did you do this? But if you had an approver in the project charter and you got his approval, then you wouldn't be in a problem. You wouldn't have any issues, because anyone would ask about why did you do this? You said this task was approved by the the guy was the guy that was approved to be approver in the project charter. If there are any special skills are required, you have to mention that skills into the charter, because so maybe you suggest or recommend some training for the employees. Also, you have to talk about the risk management. What are the potential problems? And if they occur, what happens next? So you have to mention that. At the end, you have to include the evaluations method. So who is going to monitor and audit? How the process is going to be done? What are the evaluation procedure? These are some items that has to be part of the project charter to make sure that everyone clear and everyone on the same page. Okay, let's move on. So let's move on into the second phase, which is project planning. And this is also one of the most, if it's not the most important phase, because here in the in the first phase, you were talking about the scope in general. You are making the contract in general. You are not giving any details, but the success of the project is significantly dependent on the project planning. One of the most important tools for a successful plan is what's called WBS. It's the work breakdown structure, or the work breakdown schedule in some other sources. What to include? What's the idea here? Here, you want to list the tasks to be done. So what are the tasks to be done? When it is to be started and finished for each task? What's the start and finish time for each task? Who is gonna do it? What are the resources are needed for that task? What is the sequence of activities? So if we have two activities, A and B, does B comes before or A before, or we can do those two activities in parallel. Let's move on so the picture will be clear. So in order to construct, or a way to construct the WBS, there is what's called hierarchical planning system. Think of it as a drawing or as sketching. The first thing, you sketch the major tasks to be listed. So you sketch the outlines. Then you break down the main task into smaller, so you add some details. So this process continues until all the activities to be completed are listed. So here you have the whole picture. So you have the whole details to finish that project. So think of this sketch as a project. You started as outline, you added more details, until you have listed all the listed all the tasks that are needed to complete the project. So this is an example of a WBS. So let's think of the project here is to plan an event for the career day. Okay, so let's think of these tasks as the main task, the headline or the milestones. Then, so you have to contact organizations. So, so these are the tasks underneath this milestone, and these the task underneath this milestone, and these are the tasks, and so on. So we have the main tasks, we have broke down that main task into smaller tasks. Then you have who's responsible. So for each task, so task A, print Forbes, who is responsible? The responsible is the secretary. Okay. What is the time? How many weeks do you need for this task? For example, here, for example, we need 6 weeks. And do we need is there any other task that comes before printing the Forbes? No. Let's go to this task, to print program. Okay, the responsible person is the secretariat, similar to previous one. So the week, here we are thinking another time, what is let's think of it as this semester. So week 6, we need the Forbes to be printed. Okay, same applies for printing the program. What are resources needed? We need a print shop. We have to go to print shop. Is there any other task that need to be completed before you print the program? Yes, it is task 1D. This is, let's take another card. This is task 1D. Okay. So here we gather college particulars. So this is the task has to come before you print the program. Okay, so hopefully the WBS is clear. I'll share with you, let's think of it as WBS. This is an outline that I made ready for my project, for my team, for my students. So I prepared this outline. So we have chapter 1, the introduction, what are the tasks under chapter 1. Then we have chapter 2, what are the tasks under chapter 2. Chapter 3, what are the tasks, and then conclusion, and we have PowerPoint presentation, and we have, this is part of the template, the title page and the table of contents and so on. So this, let's think of it as a WBS. There are more details under this, but this is the main thing. So I gave this to my team so they can start making the WBS from here. Okay, let's go back to our slides. Okay, so once we have the WBS ready, we know all the tasks that are need to be done in order to finish our project. Then we should go and build the schedule. And the schedule is just, it's the process or the conversion of a project work breakdown structure or WBS into an operating timetable. And this is the schedule is the basis for monitoring a project. If you don't have a schedule, you cannot monitor a project. But if you have a schedule, you can go at a specific date, for example, 2 weeks from today. And then the schedule, you said in 2 weeks, I should have completed chapter 1. After 2 weeks, in order for you to monitor the progress of the project, you said in 2 weeks, I should finish the chapter 1. You go in week 2, after 2 weeks, you see, did you achieve the goal or the goal that you specified in the schedule or not? If you achieved it, then okay, you are on time. But if you did not, then that means you will have a delay in the project. You will not finish the project in time, or you need more resources for the project. So one way or common way and familiar way for everyone to make a schedule is what's called the Gantt chart, and it was developed by a guy named Henry Gantt, and the chart got the name from the inventor of that chart. The Gantt chart shows the planned and actual progress. So if we see this task, for example, This is the planned time, and the blue line is the progress. This is how much you, this is the progress of your project. So why do we make a schedule? Why do we make the Gantt chart? It is easy to read. You can easily visualize your schedule and see the progress. And this is the WS, and these are the main tasks, and these are the subtasks. So here we see that you listed all the tasks or the activities needed to complete the project. Here you are specifying how many days we need for each project, what is the start date and the end date for each project. Okay, let's move on. How to create that Gantt chart? How to build the Gantt chart? We have it can easily be, you can do it by Microsoft Excel, but it will not be as easy as if you do it through Microsoft Project. We have Microsoft Project software in Taib University. You can get to use the software by accessing this website. Now I will share my screen and I will go over. I'll go to this website and we see how can we build a Gantt chart in Microsoft Project. Okay, just allow me a second, please. Okay. Okay, now I'll go to the website. Log on. Go to apps. Then I will scroll down. And here is the Microsoft project. I'll double click. Okay, a blank project. And this is the interface of the software of the Microsoft project. So you can go and you save your file and choose a name for it. The thing that we are going to do is, here are the task names. Okay, so let's first make the milestones. Okay, let's say, for example, what let's think of we are building a car. Okay, and we are starting with the frame, for example, building the frame. That is the milestone 1. Okay, so to make it a milestone, we put the duration 0, so it doesn't have a time because it's just a milestone. So here, what task goes under building the frame? For example, purchasing material. Okay. We have welding, for example. And let's think of that. That's all what we need. How many days do you need for purchase material? 1 day. How many days you need for welding the material? For example, 4 days. Okay, so what is the start date of purchasing the material? Let's choose today, Thursday. And since we have 1 day here, it will automatically give you the finished date. For the welding, when can we start making the welding? Can we do it before we purchase the material? Of course, no. So it is gonna be on September 11th. Okay, and will take 4 days. We see the tasks are building up here. The schedule is building up. Let's go to the next next milestone. What's next? For example, let's think of painting. We have welded everything. Now painting the frame. What's the tasks? Let's think of purchasing paint and painting. Okay, and this is zero task, zero duration. And here purchasing the paint will take, say, it's it's going to come from different city. Let's think of it taking 4 days for purchasing the paint. Then the painting process will take 2 days. Okay. So what is can we start painting before we finish welding? No. So we finish welding on the day 16. So we purchase. No, the purchasing, should we wait for the purchase until we make the welding? Or no, we can purchase the paint on the same day as we purchase the material, because it doesn't matter. Okay, this is where we said when you make the WBS, you see what tasks that are dependent on each other and what tasks that can go parallel. So we can purchase the paint on September 10th. Okay, then the painting. Okay, we have the paint arriving on September 15th. Can we start on September 16th painting? No, because the welding just ended on September 16th. So here we can start on September 17th. Okay, and it will take 2 days. Then let's go to the next milestone. For example, let's think of it that we are done and just now packaging and storage. Okay, you buy packages, then packing process. I think this wouldn't be applied, putting a car in a package, but let's think of it as a bicycle, not a car. Okay, then taking to storage. Okay, this is similar 0 day. Okay, when can you buy the packages? You can buy the packages the same start day, that is September 10th, for the same reason that we said. It will take you 2 days to arrive, and we can, that is September 10th. Okay, once the packages are here, the packaging process will take 1 day. When can we start the backing process? After we finish painting, we'll wait for example, a day until it dry off. Then on day 19th, we can start packaging. Then taking to store will take 1 day. Once we finish the packaging on the 19th, we can on the 20th we can take it to the store, make it ready for the shipping. Okay. What if you want to add the resources? Here we identify the predecessor, which task comes first. We said purchasing the material, there is nothing comes before it. Okay, we leave it blank. The welding, we have to finish the purchasing material. So purchasing, we should have named them into names, so that we give them like ABC. That would make it much better, easier for the writing the predecessor. So purchasing material. Okay. So it's not working here because we should have listed them as tasks here. So let's just let's leave this for a minute. Okay, the resources. If you need resources for this task, for example, for purchasing the material, we need the resource that who is gonna do it. For example, let's say Ahmed is gonna purchase the material. Okay, we see Ahmed is here. Who is gonna make the welding? That's going to be done by Ahmed and Khalid. Okay, we see Ahmed and Khalid are listed here, and so on. This is okay. Once you have your project is completed and done, what do you do next? How to track the project? Okay, you go to mark on track. Okay. Okay, so we have this process painting. How much is complete? Let's think of, let's say 20% is complete. We see now we have this small line specifying that the painting is 20% completed. We can format the bar. We have you can choose the colors. Example, it shows. Okay. So you can make different formatting stuff. You have to do this Gantt chart for the whole project. This would help you a lot for monitoring the progress of your project. We stop sharing this and we'll go back to our presentation. Okay, so again, you access Microsoft Project by going to this website, and you log in using your Taiba ID and the same login information as your Taiba email address. Okay, let's move on. Okay, once we created the schedule and the Gantt chart, then to make there is another way to visualize the schedule, which is called the network, and this is what we mean by a network. Okay, and this is maybe easier for visualization compared to the Gantt chart. From this network, we see that I cannot start project task 3B until I finish 1B. So this has to finish in order to start the next one. However, I can start 1B, 1A, 1B, 1C at the same time. They are independent. They can go parallel. Similar way, we can start 3B. Once we finish 3AB, we can start 3A once we finish 1B. Once we finish 1C, we can start 3 tasks. We can start 3D, 3C, and 2D. These are dependent on the completion of 1C, and so on until we finish. This is the start of the project, and this is the finish of the project. Here is some terminology. We have what's called activity. Activity is the same as tasks. Okay, and this is activity. For example, this is painting, this is welding, for example. We have the network. Network is just a visual representation of the schedule or the Gantt chart. We have what's called the path. We have the path. This is one path. Okay, this is a second path. This is a third path. Just to make the process clear. This is a fourth path. And this is the last path. So this is the path. So the path is the sequence of some tasks from the start to the finish of the project. Then we go to the next terminology, which is critical. We can have a critical path and we can have a critical activity. The critical path is the longest path. You sum up the duration of each task on each path. So you have here 5 paths. You sum up the duration of each task on each path. The longest one is the critical path. So what does that mean? It means that the path, the longest path, the tasks that are on the longest path are critical. So these tasks cannot be delayed. If you delay any of those tasks, it means that a project will be delayed. So let's assume that the critical path is the path is start 1C, 1D to the end. So these are, let's assume we have 10 days for this is the duration of 1C and the duration of 2D is 20 days. So what is the critical path? When can we, if we assume this is the critical path, what is the earliest time we can finish this project? It is 30 days. Okay. So what does it mean? It means that this task we have to start it on time, finish it in 10 days exactly. And this task we have to start it once we finish 1C after 10 days, and we have to finish it within 20 days. If we finish this in 11 days and instead of finishing it 10 days, that means the project will finish in 31 days and instead of 30 days. That is, we are delaying 1 day in the project. Similar way here. For example, if you instead of finishing in 20 days, you finish in 22 days, then the project will not be finished and completed until 32 days. So we have 2 days delay. Hopefully that was clear. Okay, let's move on. So that's the main or the most important thing about planning. Let's take us to the next phase, which is the execution. And as I told you before, the executions goes hand by hand with the monitoring and controlling, because the execution is just you are starting implementing the schedule. You said I will do this, and here in the execution you are doing what you have planned. Okay, so in the execution phase you are doing monitoring and controlling. You have to monitor, you have to control, and you have to evaluate. For the monitoring, while you are progressing in the project, you are in the implementation phase, you have to collect data, you have to record any incidents that happen, you have to make reports concerning all the aspects of the project performance. And that includes the performance, and that includes as well the time and the budget. Then you have to control. You use what you have got from here, from what you have collected, use it to compare it to the plan. Okay, so in the monitoring phase, you are monitoring the project, the work completed, and you compare it with the plan. You compare it with the schedule. You compare it with the Gantt chart. Then you have evaluation. Okay, you said in week 10, in week 2, I'm going to finish chapter 1. Here there is an evaluation process. This might be done by your advisor, and you include that in the Gantt chart. Okay, he will evaluate the performance or the effectiveness of chapter 1. Maybe chapter 1, what you have wrote is off what you have planned, or it's not, doesn't stand to the quality that you agreed on with your advisor. So you have to evaluate while you are executing. You don't want to wait until the end, because that time it will take you more time to change. But now you evaluate one step by one step, so you can control any off-plan situations. So that's for the execution. This will take us to the monitor and control. And say here you monitor, you control, you evaluate. Okay, what can I use for monitoring? What do I use for control? How do I know if I am off schedule or off budget? The first thing that we started off with mentioning that there are three factors has to be well managed. That is the scope or the performance of the project, the costs or the budget, and the time or the schedule. And of course, in order to be able to track these three, you have to collect the information needed for monitoring. Once you monitor things, how can you control? There is a method called the earned value chart. This is how you can control what you have monitoring. And I'm just gonna give you a brief of how this works, because there are many calculations and there are many details that it's out of the scope of this seminar. The most important thing, please, in your project, you have, and this is the time, you are in week 2. You have, by next week, you have to finish chapter 1, where you identified the scope, you finished and completed the project charter, you started planning. In week 4, at least you are done with the plan. You are done, you know in details what you are going to do and who is responsible, who is the student responsible for that task, and what is the deadline. So so the project manager, and you, by the way, you have to identify a project manager for your project. And the project manager can also control and monitor the work done by each each team member. So here, this is what's called the baseline. This is the plan that you made. You planned that we are going in month 3, we are going to accomplish this much, and we are going to spend as well this much. Then this is when you monitor, are you above your plan or are you below your plan? And this is what identify, are you doing well or not? Just I want to give you a quick brief on that. The closeout, the last phase, I talked with you about it at the beginning. I said it's just you finish the report, you submit the report, you take the client of the project, you take him to a tour, or you show the project to him, and you take his approval, and that your product or your project is up to the standards that you identified at the beginning, and then you write out recommendations. No projects without problems. So please, if you face any problem in your project, report that and write it down as a recommendation for the next guy who will do a similar project. And that next guy may be yourself. Someday you'll do a similar project, you go back to your document and you see what recommendation, what mistakes that you have done, so you can avoid them. we come to the end of this presentation or this seminar. If you still have any question, or there is something that I talked about it and you didn't get it, please email me at any time. And this is my email, rlahmadi@taybayu.edu. Sorry, it's .sa. So rlahmadi@taybayu.edu.sa. That essay is very important. You have to add it. Otherwise, I will not be able to receive your email. Thank you very much. I hopefully that was helpful. And please make sure that you apply what you have learned here. And see you or in next seminars. And if you have any question, please send me an email. Have a good day.